Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a job for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Listen to them. It's enough to wake the dead.
They're playing kick the can. Oh, we used to play it all the time. It's like statues and hide and seek. All kids play those games, and the minute they stop, they begin to grow old. It's almost as though playing kick the can keeps them young.
There we are back here on Everything Old is New Again. I'm Douglas Viviani with the young at heart David Cohen.
Yes.
And that's a little piece from the Twilight Zone, if you remember. We had Nicholas Parisi, author of Rod Serling. His life, work, and imagination was on our show for 2 shows, talking about his book and Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And other things. That was really good. And along those lines, we came across, that show, that episode called Kick the Can, and wondering about, going home once again as adults. What happened to the lives that we lived when we were kids? The fun, carefree laughs, the games, Can we have fun, do you think, today as an adult like we did as kids?
You mean without an iPad or an iPhone?
Right, exactly.
I don't know.
Maybe we can have fun with kids, didn't come out right, but, playing games and some nice laughter that we can have. And that'll bring us back.
Just to be clear, without iPads and iPhones?
Without yeah. So this week, we're going to put the iPad, the telephone, anything electronic aside and implore you to join us, and also possibly think about having and putting your kids put their electronic devices aside and enjoy some vintage outdoor games of yesteryear. Games that kids may or may not be playing these days.
Again, without the iPad and the iPhone? Why?
Without, exactly. And we're joined by a real kid herself, 10-year-old Angelica Juliana Viviani. Angelica, join us. Say hello.
Hi, everyone.
And spit your gum out.
Yeah, no gum on the
air. No gum on the radio.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait to show you guys the games I play now.
Okay, the games you play. So let's just talk about first things first. I want to talk about, we just mentioned Kick the Can. That was part of the discussion we just had there or heard on the Twilight Zone. Do you know how to play that game?
I used to, when I was walking home from a friend's house, I used to, kick whatever I saw on the street. Right? And I would try to kick it, all the way home. So I don't know if kick the can is not that, but I think it's similar.
Let me read you the rules. You ready?
Right, yeah.
Okay. This is good for groups or at least 5 people. So it's an empty can is placed in an open playing area. The person who is closest to it closes their eyes and counts. The other players run and hide, sort of like hide and seek so far, right?
Right.
The person who is it then which is the one that was counting, right?
Yes.
Tries to find and tag the other players while keeping an eye on the can. Any player who's tagged is sent to jail that is in sight of the can. The rest are free players, and they try to kick the can before being tagged and sent to jail.
Angelica, what do you think about that?
If they kick the can without being tagged, they can set all the players free from the jail. So you got people out. I'm trying to tag. If I tag you, you go to the jail.
Wait, that's like Ringalivio.
Yes, if you come, and now if you're in the jail, and you could, behind my back, so to speak, sneak out of jail and kick the can, you're out of the jail. Or if one of your buddies, without getting, let's just say there's 3 or 4 people in the jail, right? Without being tagged by me, if I'm it, runs to the can and kicks it, all the people in jail are are free again.
Oh my gosh.
So the tagger, the goal is to tag, let's say, all 4 people if you're playing with 5, right?
Okay.
And they're all in jail. Then you're done. But if not, the game continues.
What do you think about that, young woman?
I have 2 things to say about that. One, never heard of this game.
You should. It sounds like fun, though, doesn't it? Or no?
I guess in your day, it probably would.
But why wouldn't it be fun now?
Ouch.
I'm not sure because what kind of a can would you be?
Any can, doesn't matter.
But what is a can doing outside? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and also too.
We'll take the lid off so it's safe. Let's do that.
When you're in the jail, it must be boring in the jail.
That's why. Well, then you wait until you get an opportunity to run to the can and kick the can, and you're out of jail.
When do you get that opportunity?
Let's say I'm when I'm going after somebody else, maybe.
Now you see what kids are. Now you see what kids are on their iPads.
I think it's a great game. I love it. Yes, we're gonna play. I think that's a great game. That's fun.
So, I actually have a list of games down.
Okay, we'll take one at a time. Okay. Tell us a game that you play now. Just one, and tell us how you play it.
One game kids play at recess now is freeze tag. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game. Have you?
I think we have. Let's see you play it. Tell me how you play it.
How does it go?
All right. So there's a freezer, and there's one kid who is the unfreezer, and the rest of the kids are like you know how tag, like there's one person in it and the rest of them run. Mm-hmm. It's like there are kids like that. So the freeze tagger, so he or she has to run to any person, not the unfreezer, but to any person who is running around. If he or she tags the player, they are frozen. Like it can be the most uncomfortable position. They are frozen. Then the unfreezer runs to the people and untags them. So it's like an unstoppable game.
Like unfreezes them?
Yeah, and there are other versions of this, like Infection, and that's a game that's like Halloween themed, but it's in the freeze tag thing.
So how do you win it?
How do you win? Here's how I play it. I don't know if other people do it this way, but here's how you win. So, what's it called? So let's say 6 people are playing, and what's it called? He or she gets 4 players.
So 4 kids are frozen by the freezer.
Yeah, and there are only 2 kids.
And one's the unfreezer.
Yeah, and 2 kids are left. Then like the freezer.
Does he win?
He or she has to get all of the players and make sure that the unfreezer doesn't get them. And then if
they're all in jail, then he wins.
Yeah.
If they're all frozen.
Yeah, if that succeeds, then yeah. But sometimes no one wins. Sometimes it's just for fun.
Okay.
That's cool.
David Cohen, do you have a favorite?
Oh, that I used to play?
Yes.
Yeah, one of my favorites, just for brevity of time, is Red Light, Green Light. 1, 2, 3. Do you guys still play that today?
Yeah, we still play that to this day.
Why don't you describe how you play it, and we'll see if it's any different than what I used to play.
Okay, so I do play this with my cousin Victoria, and sometimes with other friends, but not for a while. So here's how we play it these days. So there's one person, and it's unlimited players. It doesn't have to be a number of players.
Mm-hmm. Right,
so
right.
The person who is it has to what's it called? Has to
like turn around, not face the other people.
Yeah, like he or she could put like her face against a tree, or just turn around,
put her hands over her face.
Yeah, but like your back has to be to the players.
Got it.
And then she or he will say red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. While he's saying red light, green light, you have to run, and you have to try.
Away.
No, you have to run
toward
them, right?
Yes.
Toward them.
Oh, right.
And try to get them, because when she or he says 3 or 4, whatever,
red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. That person turns around and does what?
So then, if someone tags them by that, then that is fine. But the thing is, if you are still like you don't you're on alert that he or she is gonna say 3, then if he or she sees you moving a tiny bit, you're out from the game.
All right, so you count red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. You turn around. If you see somebody moving, the way I play it is they have to go all the way back to the beginning of the line.
That's right.
Oh yeah, sometimes we do that
right?
way, but
and
other times
there are a lot
not.
of disputes over that.
Yes,
too.
and if you go red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, and then the people stay. They are closer. Then you do red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. They get closer. If they touch you as the red light, green light person, you're out.
You're out of the game,
and you basically lost. That's really it. And then they take your place. It's a never-ending game.
Well,
actually.
a lot of it's based on trust because you have to trust that the person who's saying red light, green light, 1, 2, 3 is telling the truth when he or she turns around and says that, I saw you move.
True, but your other players probably will also want your competitor to be caught.
That's true.
You know, so they'll rat him out as well. Oh, he was moving. You know,
but I remember it as mostly being an honest game. Like everybody really, you played it honestly. If you saw someone move, then you said. If you didn't, then you didn't.
Honestly, I want to hear some more. We'll be back right after this and everything old's new again. Talking all things outdoor games.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Is it so bad where you're from? I thought so, Pop. I've been living at a dead run, and I was tired. I had to come back and get on a merry-go-round and eat cotton candy and listen to a band concert. I had to stop and breathe and close my eyes and smell and listen. Maybe when you go back, Martin, you'll find that there are merry-go-rounds and band concerts where you are. Maybe you haven't been looking in the right place. You've been looking behind you, Martin. Try looking ahead.
We're back on Everything Old is New again, looking back and ahead at the same time. And my co-hosts are laughing at me because they don't understand why I played that. I played that because, number one, it's a Star Trek reference. That's from the Twilight Zone episode Walking Distance, where a guy goes back in time, visits himself, and wants to be a kid and realizes, you know what, you can have fun as an adult. You still can.
Yeah, but you're sucking the air out of this fun show.
That was Fred Overton, who is...
And he still talks about it. Wait, come on.
He was the dad in the Twilight episode, but he's also the leader in the Star Trek episode where Spock gets stung by a plant and he falls in love. If you want to know any more about that, email me at oldnewagain@aol.com, oldnewagain@aol.com. We're talking outdoor games kids have for fun. David Cohen, what one do you have?
Yeah, so back to the fun. We used to play a game called Ringo Livio, and it was comprised of 2 teams, and those teams could have anywhere from 4 to literally 30 to 40 players aside, because everyone could play. And the object was one team guarded the jail, and the other team went out and tried to get prisoners to go to the jail.
And what is this game called?
Ringo Livio. And the way you got someone to go to jail is, let's say we're on opposing teams, Angelica, I'll run after you, I'll chase you, I've got to grab you and hold you long enough to say, Ringo Livio, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if I'm still holding on to you, you go to jail. And then I'll look for the next guy on your team and try to get him. And my teammates will be doing the same thing, trying to get all of you guys into jail. If all of you guys are in jail, we win. Right?
I have 2 things to say, 1 question and 1 statement.
Sure.
So, the 1 question. So, what's it called? So, why, it's okay if you don't know, but why is this game called Ringo Livio? Is there a certain
I have
way?
no idea.
Because, alright,
I don't know.
Alright, and then statement.
Good question, though.
There's actually a game that modern kids today play, and
modern kids.
And it's actually called Cops and Robbers. This is like a comparison. So there are 2 teams, but one of them is the robbers and one of them is the cops. And you know how you said one team chases the other team?
Yes.
That's the cops chase the robbers, and then if they get you, then you're automatic. You are automatic. It can just be tagged. You don't have to hold on to them, but you're automatically in the jail. So I was just trying to say that's like a comparison.
So when
game.
do you play these games, Angelica? Because I've never seen you play one of them.
Well, sometimes at Boyd Care, aka Boyd Care,
after school, after care program.
Yeah.
Okay. When else?
And I also play them when friends are over or something like that. And I also have another game in mind that is a new one that I know none of you guys have heard of.
All right, let's hear it.
This game is called Taps. There are 2 versions of Taps.
Taps?
Taps, yeah. There are actually 3 versions of Taps. So
just tell us one.
Yeah, okay.
There are 4 versions of Taps. Go ahead. Any one of them.
So, all right. So, All right, so you need, for this game, you have to be on maybe a basketball court because you need a basketball. So here's what you do. It can be any amount of players, but the decent amount is 2. So you bounce. So you have the basketball. You bounce it to the person. It's basically you just bounce the ball over and over. But the thing is, people also call this downers. So one time you throw it to one person, you know what happens? They have to kneel down on their knees. Then when she throws the ball to me, I have to kneel down on my knees. When I throw it to her, she has to kneel down on one knee. Then when she throws it to me, I kneel down on one knee. Then you eventually go to the floor, laying down and eventually throwing it. And if the person misses, you have to start all over again from standing up.
I see. And you play this often?
Yeah,
Is it fun?
do. Yeah, it's fun. It might not sound that interesting from here, but it is pretty fun. And there also is a summer edition, but
we'll get to that.
water.
Yeah. Leo, do you have any games that you play? No? David Cohen, do you have one in mind? Think about it. Do you have one in mind?
Oh, I've got a lot of them.
I want to talk about one that I used to play.
Then why are you asking me?
Well, because you're looking through the piece of paper.
No, I'm right.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you.
Spit it out.
I'm going to tell you right now. All right. We used to play a game called Kill the Guy with the Ball. Right?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And, that brings back some memories because it used to hurt. If you were the guy with the ball, the goal of Kill the Guy with the Ball was to do actually as instructed. You kill the guy.
Tackle him, basically.
Right. So the other guys
punching.
you're playing with, no punching.
You just tackle him.
Generally, no. Right.
Yeah.
You tackle him and you try to get the ball from him.
Right.
And if you're the guy with the ball, you do everything you can to keep it.
Right.
Sometimes guys would cross the line with that. Yeah, they'd little kick in, little punch in here and there. But it was fun because, I don't know, it was just this wild Lord of the Flies kind of game. And
Now,
we used to love it.
how exactly do you play this game?
So you pick one guy, you go, okay, you throw someone the ball, you go, okay, you're the guy with the ball. And the guy with the ball, and it could be a girl with the ball, it doesn't matter. The guy with the ball starts running away from the rest of his friends because the friends are going
really
to try
sad.
to get him. They're trying to tackle him and get the ball.
That's really sad and cringy.
You just stay away from your friends.
It is sad and cringy. Now that I'm explaining it, it's very sad.
Now, Leo.
It's not a congenial type of game, is
No.
it? It's not very friendly.
7-year-old, you have one.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Tell us about it, quick.
Guard the flag.
What is it?
Guard the flag.
So what do you do? Talk into the microphone. What do you do to guard the flag?
There's these blue things, and there's red things, and you put it through the blue things, and then there's 2 teams where you have to try and get the other people's flags, and if one team gets the other team's flags, they win.
Oh, really? And do you tag them or anything like that to get them out of the way, or you just keep running around?
Wait, if you there's 2 teams. If one's running to get a flag, you could tag them if they're on the other team.
And they have to stop running?
Yeah, and they go in the jail.
Oh, then they go in the jail.
It seems to be a
lot of
recurring
tags.
theme. Tags and jails seem to be a recurring theme of these games.
I have one.
Yes,
no
go
tags,
ahead.
no jails.
All right.
It's called Buck Buck. You ever hear of this one, guys?
Absolutely not, no.
You go outside, and every neighborhood has at least one telephone pole or a pole that has a light on it, right?
I'm scared now.
So what you do is you have a team. You need at least 3 players on each team.
Okay.
So let's say you have 4 players on each team. Make it easy, right?
Okay.
You go. Team number 1 goes to the pole. The first one holds onto the pole. The second person, by bending over, the second person bends over and holds onto the back of the first person. The third person holds onto the second person, and the fourth person holds onto the third person. So they all are bent over. It's almost like they're like a what would you say, like an area where you can crawl on, or like a shelf. Okay? And then the other team now has one at a time. They have to jump on the backs of these people. So the one takes a jump, he jumps on the back, and if the people fall down, they lose. If they stand up straight, they still stay. The second person jumps on the back of the team, and that first person stays on there. So now you got 2 people on those people's back. And if they can hold on to that, then the third person goes. And if they can hold on to that, the fourth person goes. And if the team falls with the 4, 3, 2, or 1 people on them, they lose. If they stay standing up, holding onto the pole, then they win.
Now, were
That
there any...
seems like a fun but painful game.
Yeah, it is fun. And then you take turns.
Are there shenanigans? Like, could the team who's jumping on the other team, like, do some dirty stuff, like kick them or like try to force them to?
No,
to
you're not
collapse?
allowed to do that. Although I would think a tickling probably would be a good idea.
Yeah,
but you can't do that.
Okay,
and you do it back and forth. Now, what usually happens is the heavier guys go last.
Yeah, right.
And they go, and it's really fun if you have like 5, 6, 7 on 7, because then you try to jump on the same person or the same middle area, let's say, so that 1 or 2 people are holding up the weight of all the other ones. There's a strategy to it.
Now, Mr. Viviani, do you...
Here's the cross.
Have you played this game in your childhood?
Yes, I did.
And were you ever that person?
I was never
who
the last
holding-
person.
I never asked the question.
No. Were you ever that person who was
Never.
who had to hold
Yes.
on to how many people were you able to hold on to your back?
Well, okay, so my team would have 5 people, and we would hold on to 5 people.
So you only had one person on top of you.
No, you could. They bucket. You could go like you ride it like a horse almost. So you could put a lot of your people on let's say person number 2 and 3 of the other team. So if you try to put all the people on 1 or 2 people, that's what you try to do, then they'll fall. But you have to jump on the backs. You can't crawl on the back. Right. You jump you have to jump onto the person's back. So while jumping, you land wherever you land.
Do you know why it's called buck? Or
No.
Okay.
Leo, Angelica, would either of you ever attempt to play that game with your friends?
Actually, I
It sounds like
would,
fun.
No.
but not at. But I would do it safely, like where someone won't be able to yell at us saying, "You're gonna get hurt."
Yeah, there's
see.
no parents
Okay.
involved at all.
Yeah,
We lived in an environment where there were no parents supervising.
Those were the days.
at
that's
all.
really nice.
Speaking of which, we'll be back right after this, and everything old is new again. And
Again.
talk. What's that? Say where are we on what?
Everything old is new again.
Okay, we'll be back right after this. Is it a better song?
Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by the Law Office of Douglas Viviani. Douglas Viviani has been providing quality legal service for over 26 years. We're a general practice firm and can handle any legal matter you may have for a reasonable fee. If you're involved in a car accident, starting a business, planning your estate, or need a criminal attorney, please call 631-681-1910 or email us at vivianilaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Get the justice you deserve. Contact the Law Office of Douglas Viviani at vivianilaw@aol.com.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Mark, I only wanted to tell you that this is a wonderful time of life for you. Just don't let any of it go by without enjoying it.
There we go, back here on Everything Old is New Again with David Cohen talking about the schoolyard games of yesteryear, and that's a little clip from young Martin. I know you loved that clip before from the Twilight Zone. We're bringing this show to a screeching halt with those Twilight Zone clips, huh?
Very sappy.
Well, all I can tell you is that it places me back into the world of yesteryear, and we just believe it or not, Leo and Angelica left the studio, and they are going outside, and they are going to be playing Kick the Can. A couple of their friends came over, and that's where we're at. So we've inspired.
Great.
How about that?
It's so great to hear.
So I would say that now we'll have to take over the mantle ourselves. We'll do the best that we can. Can we do it as well without kids being here?
I think so.
All right. So
we don't need kids. It's great that they're doing that. They're not just playing on their phones. I think that's kind of the point of what we're trying to say here.
Exactly. So if we hear a can being kicked against the studio door or the wall or the window outside,
I'll go out there and kill them. Yeah, they better keep it down.
Like that one kid, right, you had that neighborhood. You'd play, maybe you'd play in the street. You play a little wiffle ball or something, and you had that one neighbor that the ball could not go on that neighbor's yard.
Oh, And they got so angry. Like, why? Really? Kids are just, there's a ball that rolling. How is that changing your life? The ball is rolling in your backyard. Just pick it up or let the kid come over the fence and get it. What's a big deal?
And wasn't there always the thought that, there's the rumor that person had a gun, Be careful, that one's got a gun over there.
Right. Or a dog or something like that. Yeah.
All right, so let's see if let's go this way. Let's now take ourselves outside, figuratively speaking, with the power of radio, and what game would you want to play right now? You and I and a bunch of kids. Kickball? How about that one?
Yeah, that's fun.
Do you remember kickball?
I do. You need a lot of kids, though.
Yes.
So kickball was a lot like baseball, right? Except the pitcher just rolls this big red ball. I think the ball was called a kickball.
Yes, it was.
It was
a big red Spalding.
But really big, yeah. Like the size of someone's head.
Right.
And maybe even bigger. And they would roll it on the ground from the pitching mound. You played in a flat schoolyard, any flat surface. And you rolled it on the ground, and the batter, the guy who was going to kick it, was waiting for the ball, and you'd roll it towards the kicker, and the kicker would just haul off and kick that thing and run to first base. And the fielders would have to catch the ball. So, it was like baseball. You kicked it in the air, you caught it, you're out. If you hit it on the ground, you had to pick it up and throw it to the first baseman.
Or I don't think I play a different way where you could throw the ball
at the runner.
Right, before they get to the base. And if you hit them, they're out.
Yeah, which was usually easier.
Yes, it definitely was easier because it's a big ball. It's like I said, it's the size of my head, not yours. One of these big heads.
Yeah, it's like an extra large. So, but it didn't hurt when it hit you. I remember that.
No, it was the same ball you used for dodgeball.
Basically.
How about that? Now I have a little something here. Kickball itself was invented in Cincinnati in 1917. It was also called, here we go, kick baseball or soccer base. Its accessibility as an organized sport for even small and uncoordinated children was quickly recognized.
That's why you and I were so good at it. We were the target audience.
By the early 1920s, physical education teachers all over America had begun using kickball as a standard practice in gym class. How about that? Now, I know Angelica does still play it, does not like it, but does still play it. I shouldn't say still. She's new to it, but schools are still playing it now, almost 100 years later. I mean, it is 100 years later.
It's a fun game. It really is. And by the way, as you know, I live in New York City, and in Central Park, there are many ball fields there. Guess what I've been seeing? Adult kickball leagues. It's the craziest thing. I swear. They're out. You sign up and you get put on a team, and there's leagues and there's umpires, and it's co-ed, and it looks like a lot of fun. I'd play it.
Kickball for adults would actually be fun if there was an extra little like a drinking aspect to it too, or you had a keg of beer, and if you made a.
Why does everything you do have to have alcohol involved? What is that about?
Just trying to spice it up. Kickball for adults, I would last about 25 minutes maybe.
That's pretty. Let me tell you, the game that I saw, these people were serious. There was like very little laughing going on. It was very serious.
I'd rather play hopscotch. How about that one? Do you remember that one?
That's a good game too. Sure.
That's a city game where you see it all the time. If they draw, the girl. Usually it's girls. It doesn't have to be, but usually it's especially represented on the movies and stuff. You see the little boxes drawn on the sidewalk, right? And you throw a coin or you throw something, a rock, whatever it might be, onto one of the boxes, and you've got to jump on 1 foot or 2 foot, 1 foot, 2 foot to get to that particular. Let's call it, a rock, pick it up and come back without falling, right? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I used to play. It was fun.
It's not that bad. Now, I want to tell you something. It's odd because it is represented in some ways in our culture. For some reason, girls playing it, right? Well, sources state that hopscotch began in Roman-ruled England. The courses were 100 feet long and used by Roman soldiers to build agility while wearing full armor. The Scotch and hopscotch attached itself later. It's an English version of the word scratch in that players were hopping over scratches made on the ground. So I don't think that's as interesting. I thought it was going to go down the alcohol way there with the Scotch. But bottom line is Roman soldiers played this in full armor 100 feet, which is a third of a football field.
So they had a hop 100-foot long hopscotch course.
I guess however long that they threw the rocks or whatever it was that they have to go pick up, right? And then turn around and come back for their agility. Now that's pretty wild that the Romans trained playing hopscotch. How about that? You never learn something else. Every time you listen to Everything Old is New Again, you're going to hear something unusual.
And something that you did not hear before. That's a guarantee.
Another one. Do you remember marbles?
Of course.
My dad loved marbles. That was the big hit.
Marbles, that predated you and me. I can't even imagine who were the first people to play marbles.
Yeah, you see.
But yeah, do you want to explain what marbles is?
Yeah, you see it in some old movies and old TV shows. I'm going to say old in that very popular in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. You would have marbles, a collection of marbles. Some of them were weighted differently. Some of them were different colors. You had some favorites. What you would do is you'd say, okay, to your buddy, we would draw a circle, usually on the ground, like wherever, on a pavement, and you would put your 10 or so balls in the middle, and he would put his 10 or so balls in the middle, and marbles, and you would take your you would take your special marble and you would shoot it at the balls in the middle. And if your marble was able to kick a marble out of the circle, you kept that marble. You kept on playing to all the. And if you got one out, you won again. If you didn't get one out, you took your main marble off the board, and the other guy goes. Does that make sense?
And you'd shoot the marble with your flick of your thumb, generally.
Exactly. And you had to have good aim, man. You were down there aiming and so that's how you won. And the more marbles, you got out the circle, the more you won.
That's where the phrase "all the marbles" comes from. Right? You won all the marbles.
How about that? Because you could do that. So if you kept on getting them out of there, you got all the marbles. Because the other guy wouldn't go until you stopped hitting marbles out of the circle. Now, just for kicks, marbles are an ancient game that has been found in the pharaohs' tombs and Aztec ruins. There's no way to play marbles. Every schoolyard has its own variants. There's no one way to do it. But the classic version of marble playing we know today came to an existence thereafter in the 20th century with the mass production of marbles made. They used to buy them in full bags of glass marbles for only pennies. So kids could play that game back in the Depression, I think, is really the main time that it became really big, because it's rather inexpensive to get glass marbles. But I think it's wild that the pharaohs played this game.
Yeah.
10,000 years ago.
And, scratched their knees up, I'm sure, because it was all dusty and stuff back then.
And right? It lasted till the 20th century, 21st century. I don't think anyone's playing that game. I wouldn't mind. Is
it a dead game, you think?
I think it is. I think if anything, there are these tops that the kids use now, and they play
tops.
Yeah, battling tops. Remember that?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so there's a new version of that now where kids can play tops, and they're pretty sturdy tops, and they bounce against each other. But no one gets to keep, the other person's top like you would keep the other person's marbles back in the day. Anyway, we'll be back right at this and Everything Old is New Again, talking more outdoor games. Let's get some games that David Cohen would like to play right now, right here on Everything Old is New Again.
When you're down.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and...
You'll never believe me. There's 2 cop cars, okay? And there's Chase, this 4-wheel deal, this real neat ORV. It's the most amazing thing I ever saw. More amazing than the time Michael Jackson came over to your house to use the bathroom.
More amazing than the time you saved those old people from that nursing home fire, right?
Yeah, and I bet it was even more amazing than the time you ate your weight in Godfather's Pizza, right?
Okay, Brand. Michael Jackson didn't come over to my house to use the bathroom. But his sister did.
There we go. We're back, and Everything Old is New Again, talking all things kiddom, if you will, and that's the great Goonies movie. Do you remember seeing that one, David Cohen?
I missed it. I never saw it.
I cannot believe that. That and Sandlot you have not seen.
And I have not seen Sandlot.
You need to see these two movies. I cannot. And then, of course, Angelica would say And the Greatest Showman, and you haven't seen that one either.
I'm a complete disappointment. I know.
You cannot believe you've not. All right, so we're getting a little bit astray because we're not looking to entice you to actually stay inside and watch movies. This is the last section where we want to throw a few more ideas of games that kids and adults could go outside, put the cell phone down, stop watching TV every 2 minutes or whatever you're doing on that phone other than watching and listening to Everything Old is New Again. Put the radio on and play some games outside. Right or wrong?
Absolutely.
So give me one that you think you want to you would say was be a big hit to play.
Remember when we were kids and we would play Duck, Duck, Goose and an Indian Chief? Remember that one?
I do remember it, but give us I don't think anybody's going to get that.
Well, it's a terrible name. I don't know what else to call it because when we were kids, that's what we called it, Indian. So let's just call it Chief. So you would sit around in a circle with, there had to be at least, 4 or 5 other kids. And one kid would leave the room. And when that kid left the room, one kid sitting around the circle would be selected as the chief. And the chief would start like a rhythmic clapping or banging, slapping on the knees or something. And everyone else would follow what the chief is doing. And then right in the middle of things, the chief would change it up. So instead of slapping a knee, he'd start clapping his hands. And everybody would just sort of follow what the chief was doing. And when the person came back into the room, that person would observe what's happening. And the game, or the way to win the game, was to guess which one sitting on the floor was the chief. So it was like very observational. And everyone sitting around the circle would, avoid eye contact because they didn't want to give away, oh, I was just looking at the chief and that's the chief right over there.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Is there a limited amount of time for the player to be able to figure this out? Or no? Does it just go on?
Well, from what I recall, no. But after a while, if you couldn't figure it out, kids would start yelling at you, and that was it. You were done.
It sounds pretty cool. It even would work in today's world with a different name, I guess, because there's no set winner and loser. If you really think about it, you go out, you come back in, you can't get it, you sit down, the next person goes out and does it.
But I tell you, it was fun because when you were sitting there, you wanted to be the one to leave the room and guess who the chief was. That was part of the fun too.
That's pretty cool.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I'm going to mention one that could be done outside for sure. And I did this outside with my grandfather and my sister and brother when we were kids. And it was even more fun outside. But you could do it inside too. And I am so incredibly surprised at how popular this game is still to this day. Do you have any idea
what? Spit it out or what? What game is it?
It's the easiest game on the planet.
Just name the game.
Hide and seek.
We're good. There you go.
It is unbelievably popular. Matter of fact, Angelica had her 10-year-old birthday party, and we organized a hide and seek game, and it went on for like an hour and a half, and they were having a ball. It was the most fun they had the whole night. What's about that? Do you know what I mean? Like hiding and just like being quiet around the door or whatever when someone's going by you. And I don't know. I think it's a kick.
It is. You're trying not to laugh, when someone's like right near you. It's a great game.
And
do you remember that?
Do you have? I'm just going to ask you. Do you have a strategy? Do you have a move from your hiding spot to another?
Oh, I see what you mean. I think so. Yeah, when you're figuring that at some point he or she is going to figure out where I am because it's been too long, and they've checked everywhere else.
Right.
Eventually, by process of elimination, they're going to find you. Yeah, I think I would try to change it up.
Yeah, I did that. Like if you were really good at the game, I was in like a bedroom around behind the door, and then the kids went down. This is not with the birthday party. This is with my kids. They went down the hallway to my daughter's bedroom, and then they came in and they checked the bathroom, and then they checked another bedroom. When they went to that second bedroom after the bathroom, I snuck right across the hall into the bathroom, which they had already checked, which they weren't going to go back into. And so they couldn't find me they were freaking out, yelling, anyway, you have to have a safe word too, because, if you're playing with kids, because they freak out when they can't find you for 25 minutes. Anyway, I don't know why. That's a great one for me. What, you have any others? Outside. Let's try an outside one.
An outside one. Well, this is a little more involved, but when I was a kid, street hockey was very big.
With the ball, you would play with a ball.
With a ball, yeah. So with street hockey, you bought yourself a stick. They were pretty inexpensive. Sneakers, you had sneakers, and a street hockey ball, which was that reddish orangish kind of ball that, and you found enough kids, and you played in the middle of the street where there were cars. And the cars would know to kind of go around the garbage cans. You set up 2 garbage cans as the goal. So two sets of 2 garbage cans. Or some kids had little hockey nets. But after a while, we grew up, it was more of a suburban neighborhood. The cars would just slow down and go around the nets.
Or a lot of
pause the game.
A lot of neighborhoods now, though, have a basketball court. You just do it in the basketball court.
Yeah, you could just also do it in the basketball court. Yeah. Right. We didn't have that luxury, but yeah, and it's a fun game. You don't really have to know a lot about how to play hockey. You have a stick and you hit the ball and you got to hit it in past the other team's goalie into the net. It's really that simple.
That's it. And the team that usually wins is the one that the parents went ahead or the kid plays like ice hockey and is the goalie. So he has all the equipment. So now he's got all the pads. Otherwise, you could also just wear like a couple of pillows on your with belts. We've done that, pillows with belts around your legs and a catcher's mask and a baseball glove and that kind of stuff. And you got your goalie, right?
Exactly.
I'll say one. I know this is so simple, but people don't do it. We have a park in our backyard, right? Beyond our backyard, a public park where there's a basketball court, and I see kids come and they play and whatever. But I don't see many people playing horse. Remember this?
Sure.
Where you would, first person would take a shot. If they got it in, the second person had to repeat that shot
from that same spot,
the same shot, same spot. And the same exact way, sometimes with one-handed or whatever it might have been, or bank it off the backboard. And if you missed, you got a letter, and it was H. And when you spelled horse, you lost.
Right. And whoever got to horse first lost.
Right. And of course, if I'm shooting and I'm the first one and I missed the shot, then of course you're not emulating that. You now have the opportunity to set the game and take your shot. So it improves your ability to play, and I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun.
And it was fun because you'd get silly. You would try to shoot the ball in some really stupid way. And if you got lucky enough to get it in, it would be almost impossible for someone to repeat what you did.
Right. Exactly.
So that there was an element of silliness to it as well. And do you remember on the basketball court also horse? No, not horse. The other one.
Have you been listening?
Horse. Yeah. How about that game horse? Around the world?
Yes, sort of the same thing, but a little more organized, right?
Yeah, so it was just like a circle outside of the hoop, and you just went from one spot to the other spot around the world, around this large globe circle, and you just had to make every shot as you move to the next station.
Or you could do it where you get certain points for each of those shots, and whoever wins.
True. Right.
Those
the harder the shot, the more the points.
Right. Exactly. Well, those are a couple. What about the ones in the pool? You ever do any of these in the pool? Marco Polo, which I think is the absolute worst game on the planet. Does it ever work? Did it ever work for you?
No.
Does anybody play Marco Polo and not cheat?
No, I don't think it's possible. And I think without cheating, you'll never find the other person. You just won't.
Although you're supposed to be able to hear them like swishing around if you get close. But it's.
But the person with the eyes open can always move faster in the water than the person with their eyes closed. So even if you're close to someone, you can hear them moving away, but you don't know what direction.
And then they just go underwater.
Or they go underwater.
They just go underwater and swim away from you. It's a horrible game. All right, so let's leave on a good one. We love baseball. We've been talking about baseball a lot. And we mentioned it a little bit before. Wiffle ball, I think, is a lot of fun. All you need is or stickball. Oh, that's even better. Have you played stickball?
Not too often, but I have. Yeah.
You can play stickball or wiffle ball.
More like stoop ball, but that's a different thing.
All right.
Anyway, we'll stay on the subject. Yeah, stickball.
Baseball related, and all you need to do is get one of those balls. Let's stick with wiffle ball, plastic bat, and you're up against the house, and you just need 2 or 3 people. One's pitching, and another's fielding, and off you go. And if you hit the ball beyond this to someone and they don't catch it, it's a single. If you hit it beyond that location, it's a double. You hit beyond that location, it's a there's no running. You just you're hitting. And I think a lot of the fun that we used to have is we used to line ourselves up and try to emulate the batting stance of individuals. Remember this?
Oh, sure.
So there was a little extra thing if you could guess the person's batting stance and who they were.
Right.
You didn't get anything for it, but you had some fun. Anyway, we ran out of time. Let's hope that we've inspired you or anyone to get out and have some fun. Put that, that telephone down. Listen to the radio while you're playing these games. And
buy a kickball.
Exactly. All right, we'll be back next week to talk all things pop culture and everything old is new again. You've been listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's pop culture entertainment talk show. Find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz. That's .biz.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.